So you've decided that you want to sell on Amazon. You're curious to know what the best way is for you to do that. There's a lot of people out there that are going to tell you this way is right, that way is right. They've all got their ideas, and a lot of them are really good ideas. But to be honest, I know a lot of people who are very successful selling on Amazon, and none of their businesses look the same. And so when people start teaching a system and they start talking about a system and saying this is the best way to do it, oftentimes they're selling something. Oftentimes they're selling their course. That's not a bad thing, actually. It's a good thing to start by buying training and learning from someone else who's already done it. Here on this channel and moving forward, I don't charge for my stuff. I just do it from, I like to give back. But to be honest, there are a lot of good courses out there and a lot of good training. And if you're curious to know what those are, I can point you in that direction later on. But the first thing you want to think about when you're thinking about selling on Amazon is what the best model is for you, because not all models are created equal. What I mean by that is there's multiple ways of selling on Amazon. I got my whiteboard put up, so now we can do whiteboard stuff. Yay, whiteboard! Now I feel like I'm teaching. I have a whiteboard and a pen. So what we're going to do is we are going to talk about kind of the different ways that you can sell on Amazon and the different methodologies you can use and what it takes to do each. And maybe you'll find that what you're studying right now as far as a way to sell on Amazon doesn't fit in with your plan and the best way for you to do what you're doing. So selling on Amazon is a continuum. And I don't see many people talking about this. So selling on Amazon, on one end, you have what we're going to call other people's products. Okay, so what you're doing is you're buying wholesale. This is called the wholesale model. Or it's called competing for the buy box. But essentially what you're doing is you're buying somebody else's already branded products and you're turning around and selling them on existings that are already existing. This is how a lot of people make money on Amazon. It's a very good way to make money on Amazon. This falls into a few different categories. You can buy wholesale, you can find products from wholesalers, you can buy direct from brands. We do both. You can go around, and if you really are so inclined, you can go shopping deals at your local stores. That's called retail arbitrage. You can buy that stuff and then send it in because oftentimes there's enough of a pricing discrepancy on some items that you can make money that way. Or you can find those same pricing discrepancies online. That's called online arbitrage. These are all ways that you can make money selling other people's products. I know people who sell liquidated items. That's other people's products. And it's essentially you're going on and selling it under an existing listing. So that's on one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is what we call private label, or white label. On that end of the spectrum is when you find a product that you want to sell, you design a product, you innovate and create kind of a new way of going about a product, improved product, or sometimes you can just take a generic product off the shelf and have a company manufacture that product for you and sell that product as is. That's called private label or white label because what it means is you're essentially creating your own brand of products. And it's very beneficial because you have a lot more control over what goes on the listing, as far as advertising. Nobody else is going to compete with you on that product for price. So there's a lot of benefits to that end. But the two ends of the spectrum are, shall we say, they take different things for you to make good money and to create a good business from. So because I can, I'm going to switch colors. Okay, so what does it take to sell and do something with other people's products? Well, oftentimes when you do that, you're buying these products on a credit card. So you have, your credit card from statement to due date, you've got like a month of inventory that you can buy and turn around and sell, and you're able to use other people's money. But oftentimes the profit margins are lower, and you have to sell a lot more volume in order to make good money. So what this is this is time intensive. This takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of repeat time. So something that you buy this month may not be very good to buy next month, and so you have to go find something else. Something that, potentially you buy something liquidated, great, you make money for a couple months, you don't have any more sourcing for it because it's liquidated, it's gone. The supplier, the manufacturer, was done selling it. They just wanted to get rid of the last few units, and that's what you did. You got a great price on them, you made lots of money, good for you. There's nothing wrong with making lots of money. But just know that each month you're going to have to find more products to sell, and you're going to have to ship those products in yourself. And so that's going to take a lot of time. It's very time intensive to do. On the other end of the spectrum, we've got money. So oftentimes, with private label or white label products, you have a lot more money involved. Like I said, on this side, we're using credit cards. You can get quick, easy loans. Amazon, once you're on the platform for a while, will offer you loans. It's a good way to turn that money and turn it quick. It's all about turning your money very quickly, but it's very time intensive. On the other hand, with private label stuff, oftentimes you're shipping from overseas, from your factory overseas. Your factory wants cash up front to manufacture your product. On top of that, you've got to oftentimes float that stuff over. I know some people who air freight, but air freight takes more money. So you've got a lot of money involved, tied up for a longer period of time. You can have your money tied up for 3 to 6 months before getting any kind of return back from that, because you have to sell through a certain amount. You also have minimum order quantities, whereas over here, I can buy a dozen. Sometimes I only have to buy 1 unit of a product that I want to sell. Over here, we often have to buy several hundred, if not 1,000 units. And that's just the scope of doing the business, but at the same time, you're usually betting a bit bigger here. On this side, you might find a product that, you sell $1,000 in revenue in a month. On this side, you're looking for products that sell $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 in revenue a month. So that's where it kind of balances out. Now, the other bit is this doesn't take much money. I shouldn't say no money, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's not a good place to start, starting with no money, but you can start it that way. You can start it with very little money. And especially if you work into retail arbitrage and learning retail arbitrage or online arbitrage, it doesn't take much money at all, and you can turn that money very quickly. That being said, it takes a lot of time. So what do you have more of? On this side, it doesn't take much time. In comparison, I want to make that. I want to make it clear that in comparison, it doesn't take much time. What do we mean by that? Okay, so when you're doing a private label product, you invest all of your time up front. You invest time in research to find the right product that you're going to do, any kinds of modifications from the factory. You're spending a lot of time up front to create a good listing, to get pictures taken, kind of really get the whole thing set up and running. Once it's set up and running, all you have to do is email or call your supplier and say, I want more. They say, okay, here's the bill. You send the money, more goes on its way. They oftentimes will ship, especially if it's overseas, you'll deal with a freight forwarder. The freight forwarder will bring it into their warehouse. They'll stick the labels on it, send it right into Amazon. You never have to see inventory. You never have to handle inventory. It's very kind of hands-off once you get it running. And the only thing you have to do is just kind of continue to manage and monitor that product once it's up and selling. So it takes more money, but it doesn't take a lot of time. So where on the spectrum are you? I said it was a spectrum, right? So we've got two ends. What's in the middle? This is where I like to spend most of my time. It's not how I started. I actually started over here, but I found that in my own business, I started as a rather young guy. I'm still, in my consideration, still pretty young. But in my own business, I started over here. I started selling on Amazon when I was, 23. I was 2 years out of college, had student loans, working. I'd just gotten married. I had no money. I wound up taking my tax refund from the year before and investing it in training to learn how to do it. And then I wound up scrounging together another couple $1,000s for my first inventory purchase. That's how I started. I found it very hard to scale because I didn't have money to add new products. I didn't have access to a lot of money. So I wound up going all the way to the other extreme. I said, well, I don't have any money, so I'm going to take as much time as I can, and I'm going to find wholesale products to buy. And I worked with a lot of brands that I've worked with for many years now. And I went and found those brands. I opened up conversations. I opened up accounts. I buy from them on a regular basis. I have very good relationships with them. And this became the foundation for what got me out of my job. But eventually I realized that I kept having to dump time in over and over and over to keep going. And if I backed off on my time, if I started going and doing other stuff, the whole business would kind of falter and slow down. That's because I wasn't investing the time. So I decided I needed to do something a little different. Well, this is where what I like to call, I do bundles a lot. It's bundles, it's also generic products. Products that are kind of in the middle. They're already manufactured, and people just want to sell them. They don't care what you do with them. They just want to move units. Oftentimes, these companies will actually put your own label on the product. So you can create a private label product, but only have to order maybe 50 units at a time. A case, they want you to order case quantities. Or you can create bundles out of existing products that you're buying from your existing retailer, your existing wholesalers. Great way to do things. But what it does is it means that you create your own listings. So you get the benefits of this side, where once you get that listing up and created, it doesn't take much time. That was a horrible arrow. Let's see if we can do better. Is that better? A little bit. Not really. Oh well. It's there. One cut and we're done. That's how I do things around here. Even if it's nasty, we'll get it done. But it also doesn't take much money. The trade-off is, it takes a little bit more time, and it does take a little bit more money. But it's kind of in the middle. It's this weird stepchild that kind of just hangs out there. Nobody really talks about it. And actually, a lot of people I know end up doing bundles. They buy things in bulk and repackage them. And it can be a very lucrative way of doing business, but you have to take the right approach to doing it. You have to be very careful about who you're doing it with and what you're doing it with. So, that's a conversation that you have to have with your wholesalers. And I've had that conversation saying, hey, can I take your products? Can I put them into bundles with other branded products? Everything that's going to be sold is not going to be your stuff. And you realize that, but we're going to make sure that you get more sales and more revenue. And it's a way to expand the brand's stuff on Amazon. And that's something that they actually really like. And oftentimes we can get a conversation with a supplier that is very anti-Amazon, and we can do very well with it. So what does this whole thing mean? Well, some of you are over here. You have lots of time, but you don't have a lot of money. Well, guess what? I would recommend you start with this model. Some of you are over here. You have money. You have $20,000, $30,000, maybe $40,000, $50,000, but you're busy with a job. You have other commitments, and you don't have that much time. Then maybe starting somewhere on this end of the spectrum would work better for you. And that doesn't mean you have to go all the way over here where you're sourcing from China, sourcing from India, Pakistan. You can always find these products in the US and bring the spectrum down over here. This is spectrum. So what works right for you? I can't tell you that. And if somebody is telling you that their model is going to work best for you, that means they're probably trying to sell you something. And I'm not going to do that. But I will tell you, if you're here and you're learning this model and you don't have much time to do it, you're going to fail. Maybe you need to move. If you're over here and trying to learn private label, but you're struggling to come up with the money, let me tell you, private label stuff, it's a cash flow game. You have to have the money available. And if you don't have the money, maybe you need to move more in this direction. That doesn't mean you have to go all the way to the other end of the spectrum, but maybe you need to start working toward the other side. So something for you to think about when you're starting your Amazon business is exactly where you want to build your business. And this starts to build into the overall business that you're going to have once you're successful. So, do you want something where you're working every day? Well, I actually have a business that's more geared toward more that end. And I actually don't work in it every day. But, well, I do work in it every day, but not much. But I do that because I have employees that do the work for me. I have set up a system where I can plug people in and say, this is what you do on a daily basis. Go find products, ship them in. We've got a warehouse guy. We have our own warehouse. And we prep our own stuff and we send it into Amazon. That's all over here. It's very time intensive. I have several employees that work for me, and it works. On the other end, I know people who have the same size business, or even bigger, that it's just them. And all they do is pick up the phone and call people whenever they need inventory and say, ship me more. And then they just pay for it. So, on the both ends of the spectrum, you can have very successful business. In the end, I'm not talking right away, in the end, that you don't have to invest a lot of time in. But starting out, when you're starting, which do you have more of? Do you have more time or do you have more money? And, hard truth, you really can't start with no money. You need some. That being said, you don't need as much as, I'd say you could easily start this kind of business with less than $5,000. I'd say less than $2,000 is still doable, but you're going to struggle a lot. It's going to take a lot more time. You're going to have to work really hard. This end, you definitely need way more than $5,000. I'd say you need 10 to 15, and that's at a bare minimum. And that's just going to get you going. That's not going to get you scaling very quickly. And we all know you probably want to scale a business, and you probably want to get it to a point where it's going to pay your bills and you can walk away from your job or do whatever you want with that money. So I'd say, rough estimates, don't quote me too bad on that. That's what you're going to look at for those two sides. In the middle, you can live there all your entire time on Amazon and just make a lot of money there. But you also have to understand both sides, and you have to be able to work in both sides. And so that's the trade-off. You have to learn twice as much to do the middle. Now I'm going to be working on teaching the middle. I'm going to be putting together a course. I'm not going to sell it. It's going to be free. And we're going to work toward teaching people how to do that middle bit. So if you want, stick around for that. Hit subscribe. That way when that course starts to come out and we start to create videos for it, you'll be able to see them and you'll be able to learn along with us. Otherwise, thank you for being here. You guys have a wonderful day, and I'm going to get back to work because I've got a lot to do in my own business. Talk to you later.